Seldom does the beautiful cry of a newborn baby bring its cradling parents such dismay. The baby girl that clawed at the air, furiously extending and recoiling her legs, was a despairing sight for Martha. In spite of all her prayers, this family was yet to see the birth of a boy who was destined to raise this family out of poverty. To Martha, a second daughter meant further downfall. This baby was simply another mouth to feed, another bed, another set of clothes, another trip to the well for water. More of everything that Martha already lacked. Yes, she was certain to remain trapped in a life of destitution. As her daughters grew, so did the demand for resources that Martha and her unemployed husband Samuel simply did not have. Gradually, Martha resented the fork in the road that faced her. One path saw her begin work as a tailor, rejecting the conventional role of a housebound mother, deviating from all that her village and culture stood for. Should she take this path, the income would ideally provide some alleviation from her family's poverty. The alternate pathway? Take no action and continue to struggle for every necessity of life. This way she may at least retain some level of respect as a housebound mother. Alas, the path she needed to take became clearer with the passing of each day. That by no means made it an easy choice, considering both paths of her life guaranteed suffering. However, whilst one path promised her own suffering, the other promised her family's, and she knew she couldn't allow that. She took a step of faith down an ominously condemned path. She chose to work. Granted, it was a better alternative to sitting idly by and watching her family struggle to survive. The income Martha made as a tailor still proved overwhelmingly insufficient in meeting her family's needs. A day's wage would at best cover that day's meals. An unforgiving way of doing life, the life of a daily wage labourer. As expected, she was rejected and cast out from society. What she was not expecting was to be cast out from her own home. Martha's mother-in-law had little trouble removing her from the household. Finding a new residency bred new financial difficulties for which Martha and Samuel were most ill-prepared, and the weight of her afflictions amassed all the more. Martha became the primary source of both income and persecution. Her burden grew, a burden that did not go unnoticed by God. Under the blissful comfort of sleep, Martha was confronted with a voice, a dream, a vision. The voice spoke.
"Come to me, my daughter. I will give you peace and joy."
No other words of greater comfort would she find in her life than those. But who was speaking to her? She knew. Somehow, she knew that this was the voice of Jesus Christ. Putting a name to the voice was only the first step of the journey. There was much more that she desired to know about this Jesus. These desires led her to her local church, where she was able to confide in the pastor there. She unveiled to him her story of rejection and suffering. Bringing these afflictions to light led her to answers and realizations, and soon she began trusting in Christ, the one who reached out to her in peace and joy. After finding redemption in Christ, Martha joined a church led by GFA pastor Seth, who saw the way Martha worked tirelessly to provide for her family. He also saw a potential end to her trials. Pastor Seth, through a GFA gift distribution, provided Martha with her own sewing machine. This meant Martha no longer relied on her low-income tailoring job, but could now work from home and use the skills that she had already learned to make a far more substantial living. Martha had never felt such gratitude. No earthly gift had ever been so liberating and uplifting. The gift of the sewing machine provided a stable and sustainable income and acted as a powerful representation of God's graciousness in the life of Martha's family. Samuel was particularly impacted by this gift. He saw the change in his wife and the strength of her faith. He was so deeply encouraged by her faith, he too decided to place his trust in Jesus and find deliverance in him. Martha would no longer be held captive by the financial restraints that once afflicted her. This simple gift transformed the lives of all in Martha's family and provided them with a firm foundation on which to pursue their dreams. Enduring persecution and discrimination, Martha stood faithfully by her family, and this faith was rewarded. However, not every woman who shares this story, of which there are many, will be so fortunate as to receive such gifts. Many women in Africa and Asia will work to provide for their families and, like Martha, will be rejected and cast out from their homes, families, communities. That is why we at GFA World offer them the chance to rise above the afflictions they face and in the process hear of Christ. By giving to our uplifting marginalized women giving category, you will reach out a hand of hope to these persecuted women.